And greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is Open Mic on the John Campea YouTube channel, the show that's kind of the more laid back, just talking, shooting the breeze, talking about all of our favorite things in movies, movie news, TV, and streaming. But unlike the John Campea Show, where we're going through a whole bunch of predetermined topics, all we do here on Open Mic is it's an open mic. And you guys are at the mic. Tell us what you guys want to talk about here today. And that's what we're going to talk about. And I'm joined today by Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing?
I love when you said, and talking. That was very funny. No, it's great to be here. I love these open mics. They're a lot of fun. You know, we've got Taylor producing. He's always doing something funny.
Yeah, Taylor's back there running the switchboard right now.
Funny when he does
back
things.
There. So yeah, that's just what we're going to do here, guys. We're just going to spend the day, afternoon here, taking the stuff that you guys want to talk about. But as we do an open mic, we usually start with one topic that came up on the John Campea Show earlier and maybe dive just a little bit more into it. And I thought today, the topic we would dive into a little bit, since the new episode came out, and since we're doing this open mic in lieu of a She-Hulk after show, since there really wasn't a lot to talk about. By the way, I should warn all of you right now, we'll probably have some spoilers in this episode of Open Mic regarding She-Hulk, only because there's really nothing to spoil. That's the thing about this episode. There really wasn't anything to spoil other than a hat that was in a box. So there may be, I'm just giving you guys that warning right now. If you're watching She-Hulk and you haven't seen the new episode that came out last night, you might want to tune out because there probably will be some spoilers in here a little bit. We'll try not to do them too clearly, but you know, She-Hulk came up earlier today because we were giving our review of last night's episode. An episode that I enjoyed.
I did too.
I was smiling through it, and when it ended, I'm like, all right, there you go. It's certainly better than last week's episode, which I didn't like very much at all, other than the post-credit scene with Madison and Wong. I could eat that up. I could eat that up all day. So I really wasn't a big fan of last week's episode. So this week's episode's come out. It was a better episode for sure, but it was fine. It was a nice little episode. It was charming in some places. I'm liking Pug more and more. Ray brought that up.
Yeah.
I'm liking Jennifer more and more. They're like a lot of the that's a great. He really is, Josh. He's really, really good in the role.
Great suit too.
It has a great suit. Very much, almost like a Joker suit in a way. But I love the shoe collection. All that kind of stuff. It was perfectly nice. The courtroom stuff was actually legit. There was like legit legal doctrine being discussed in this show.
I have to say, I really liked that, and also the idea of a superhero name and all that. I thought that's what I wanted from this show, because in a world where there are superheroes, your name would be a problem. You know, would you have to trademark it? If you didn't think about trademarking it, somebody else would, then they could trade on what you do. I thought that was really fascinating. I mean, I want to see more of that kind of thing, whatever that thing is.
I agree. So at the end of the day, I thought the episode was fine.
Yeah.
And I think up until now, I think the show has been fine. Look, I wanted going into this show Ally McBeal meets the MCU. I wanted an episodic, legal thing with a superhero slant and just go bonkers with the comedy and all that kind of stuff. And they've kind of done that.
Yeah.
But the underlying problem for me, here's the thing about comedy, right? The winning cures everything, right? Comedy is an interesting genre because comedy is one of the few genres where you can literally do everything wrong. Like we've seen a lot of movies. There's a number of comedy movies too that just like is a terrible movie, but it made me laugh my guts out. And if in a comedy, if all you accomplish right is making the audience laugh, then you're going to get a pass. You're totally going to get a pass. And I think ultimately at the end of the day with She-Hulk, the thing that prevents it from being a really good show compared to a fine show is it hasn't been funny enough. It just straight up has. See, so it hasn't been funny enough. It certainly has had funny moments, made me grin, but it has not been funny enough. A lot of the things that were great about the pilot episode, they've gone more and more away from. Like even like the fourth wall breaking. Like it was reduced in this episode to a quick, oh right, my suits. And that was it. It had kind of been set up into this point that at least every week you knew you were going to have some cameo, whether it was Hulk or whether it was Wong. We knew Daredevil was coming at some point, right? So we got into this episode, and somebody had asked me in the chat earlier, would you say She-Hulk is getting better or is it getting worse? And I'll say this. While I think this episode was definitely better than episode 3, I don't feel like the series, while I am still liking watching it, and I'll look forward to watching it again next week. This series has never lived up to its promise, but more than that, I feel like because the series has never lived up to its first episode, which I thought the first episode was exceptional.
Yeah.
I really liked the first episode a lot. And I'm finding that's a habit with these Disney Plus shows, because I loved the first episode of Obi-Wan, right? I love the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but it has never been as good as it was in episode 1. The fourth wall breaking was better. The humor was better. They leaned into the fourth wall breaking and the cameo. They did all that kind of stuff. And while there wasn't as much legal drama in it, I was kind of hoping there would be, that to me was the best episode so far.
Right.
Was the first one. And so when they write in to ask me and say, has the show gotten better or worse? Since to me, the first episode, which I think was great, was the best episode, has never been as good, I have to say it's gone downhill. I still enjoy it. I'm looking forward to it next week, but I think the show's gone downhill. How have you seen it?
Well, I tend to agree. I mean, that first episode was just very satisfying because you obviously had the Hulk, you had Bruce, and then you had her becoming Hulk and learning how to be a Hulk. And there's something inherently satisfying about this training idea that the mentor is showing the student how to do something. So you have these storytelling tropes built into that. So it was fun. You know, it was fun. I really liked that first episode. But then I was really expecting more of a Boston legal feeling, like the relationship that Denny Crane had with James Spader's character, and the way that then James Spader would give these impassioned.
By the way, Denny Crane is William Shatner.
William Shatner. You don't know. Yes, but you know, Alan Shore, his character would give very strange defenses sometimes, but then he would bring it around and nail it and give you, which I really enjoyed. And because Jennifer Walters is a good lawyer, and I think that we haven't really seen her, other than that one case, be a lawyer. And I love the idea of, we started a superhero division. And like in this episode, we meet her rival in the same division. You know, her rival has to defend her. But I'm like, why aren't they strategizing? And I would like to have seen more of that. Like, what if you're a high-powered law firm in Century City or wherever, and you have to deal with superheroes, because that's what's in the world, I would like to see more of that, because that would world build while you're watching a legal drama. And that's what I thought we would get more of. Yeah,
and like I said, I'm okay that they've been light on that. Like somebody in the live chat, I just want to see who it was that said it. One of the people in the live chat, and I lost it, I'm sorry, but somebody in the live chat said, there it is. It's Dragon Llama says it's missing depth.
Yes.
Here's the thing. I don't agree. I don't agree in the sense that, yes, it has depth. Oh, it doesn't. But it's not missing depth, because I don't believe this show needs depth. I think this show needs personality and it needs humor. And because that's what this show is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a half-hour comedy, right? Set in a legal world and stuff like that. And I think at the end of the day, if this show was making us laugh, because remember, it's not trying to be Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and it's not trying to be Loki, and it's not trying to be one of those other shows. I read too many people who are wanting She-Hulk to be a different kind of show. For me, I want it to be a comedy, but my problem comes from, while I'm smiling in a lot of them, and by the end of it, I'm going, that was good. I'm not like the way I laughed when I watched the Thor Ragnarok, or the way I laughed when I watched the first Ant-Man, because like they can do comedy. Marvel knows how to do comedy, sometimes better than others. But I mean, I'm finding that as a comedy, remember I said you can get almost everything wrong, but if you get the comedy right, you're forgiven. In a comedy, you can do everything else right. But if you don't make me laugh enough, I'm going to walk away feeling a little bit dissatisfied. And I think at the end of the day, I'm just feeling like what's stopping this from being a solidly good show is it's trying to be a comedy, but it's just not funny enough. And it needs to be more.
And it's also not enough of a superhero show either.
I give you that too.
I mean, I wanted more of each side. You know, it's interesting. I keep going back to the movie Tootsie, which is one of my not just favorite comedies, but favorite movies. And this premise of a man dressing up as a woman to get success as an actor that he can't get as a man. They really lean into it on many different levels, and it's very satisfying. And in this, I just don't feel, I feel like I'm watching a plane trying to get off the ground, and it's kind of there, but it can't quite get into the sky. You know, it's not getting where it wants to be. And it's trying hard. It's got all the ingredients, and it should be better than it is. But like you, I feel unsatisfied.
It would just make me that. But again, I don't want to sound like I'm being overly negative, because at the end of the day, I'm still tuning in every week.
I'm enjoying it.
I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
The premise itself, could be more. It could be better. And that's kind of where I'm at on it right now. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think? Like with where She-Hulk is at right now, do you feel like it's been at least getting better as it goes? Do you feel like it's been getting a little bit worse as it goes? How do you feel about it overall? Whatever your thoughts are, jump on down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. That done now, we're going to just spend the rest of our afternoon here taking your comments and questions. So we're going to get into that as soon as we take a second and thank one of the sponsors of our shows today, our friends over at Manscaped. We want to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, Manscaped. Now, guys, you know I love Manscaped. You've heard me go on and on about the Lawnmower 4.0 and that body wash. I love it so much. And so we got to ask, guys, have you started your spring cleaning yet? The carpets need cleaning, the drapes need dusting, and your lawn needs mowing, gentlemen. And you guys know Manscaped is more than just one product. They have a whole lineup of products to help you guys feeling, smelling, and looking your best. And so Manscaped is proud to present to you the Performance Package 4.0, which is the only tool that you need to keep your boys looking, smelling, and feeling good this spring. Now, to start off with, you get the Lawnmower 4.0. Guys, we have talked about this. What is wrong with us? Why have we for so long been using these terrible tools that were never meant for cutting our hair down there? The razor clipper things on our electric razors. That's barbaric, guys. You need the Lawnmower 4.0. And then there's the Weed Whacker. You guys have heard our own Ray Ora talk about this thing. He loves using it to get that hair in your nose and the ear hair. And then they offer lots of other stuff like the Crop Preserver. It's an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer. The Crop Reviver. It's a spray-on toner for your balls. And of course, they've got the perfect grooming tool for your face with the Plow 2.0, the perfect razor for the finest shave on that face. So guys, get 20% off plus free shipping with the code CAMPEA. That's CAMPEA at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the promo code Campea at manscaped.com. It's time to throw out your old hygiene habits and upgrade your life. And thank you to our friends at Manscaped for sponsoring this episode. All right, guys, with that all down, let's do what we're here to do. Take your thoughts, comments, and questions. So let's go on over to it. Rob, what do we got?
All right, what do we got? We have Southius. Or wait, no, we already did that. Southius says, all right. Yes, those shoes were fun Easter eggs, but man, that's got to say something about the characters in this universe. Not only Deadpool and Cyclops, but Bishop, Cable. Are they in this universe?
No. It's do we have a picture of that?
Yeah, I do. I have.
Let's see if we can bring that. Yeah. So like you can look up. Okay. So right above it goes straight up. You can see the Deadpool shoes. You can see he's holding the Iron Man ones. Obviously, you see the Captain Marvel ones.
There's Cyclops down by
the Cyclops down there, right above Cyclops. What's the green one? Do you think? The one right above the Cyclops one. Maybe that's nothing. But then you got the Thing right above the green ones.
It could be Toad.
That's what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning? I mean, I love this. I love it, but it's meant to be cute Easter eggy thing. It's not like, oh my God, confirmed that Cyclops is here now in the MCU. No. Take it in the spirit in which it is. It's just a fun little sketch.
Right. I think so too. But it's still cool.
It is still cool.
I'd buy those Cyclops shoes.
What's next?
I'd wear them. Mutasim says, I'm disappointed to say that She-Hulk may be my least character I'm interested in the MCU. I've seen 5 episodes, and I can't really point out one trait that I find interesting.
I think she's a very interesting girl, but she is so separate. Like the show itself is so separate from the MCU that they are using her as a sitcom character. And I'm okay with that. And that works for me if you make it this situational comedy, which is, there's your little education for the day. Sitcom is short for situational comedy. If you make your situational comedy have more comedy, good comedy that makes you laugh, give me some Parks and Rec, give me some whatever in there, but it's almost like, I don't know, they're just misfiring on that.
Well, Bruce also told her, you're going to have to help save the world now that you've been imbued with this power. And I was expecting that there would be like an episode, maybe there's going to be one coming up, where she decides, maybe I should try and go out and save the world. And stuff happens to her when she's like, I make this decision. Because right now she's just living her life. And when she wants to turn into She-Hulk, she does. But there's no connection to her being a superhero or any of that. She's just a girl that can change at work.
And considering Titania was set up, like from everything we've seen in the marketing, it was set up to be, Titania is the main foil of this thing. We've seen her in 2 episodes?
Yeah.
That is not an interesting story. They introduced something really interesting with the blood stuff, and we haven't heard anything about it since. We've only got a couple of episodes left. It's not exceptionally funny. So again, at the end of the day, this is going to, it's still better than Hawkeye. Like, for me, whatever, at least it's still better than that show Hawkeye. But it's frustrating when you know it could be so much better.
Well, you know what's really interesting, John? We both like Miss Marvel. Yeah. When I was watching Miss Marvel, I believed in it. I'm like, this is a show that was conceived, and I buy into this. I'm watching She-Hulk, and I find it very distancing because I'm not all in. I haven't bought in. I haven't suspended my disbelief. I'm watching it from a very distanced perspective. Whereas Miss Marvel, I really enjoy because the family element. I really loved all those characters.
There was a charm to it.
A charm, absolutely. This should have that charm too, and I don't think that it does.
Yeah. Oh, God, I love Miss Marvel. Love that show so much. All right, what's next?
Sam Fisher says, 1 of 2. John, Alex Ross's GN is called graphic novel. It's called Fantastic Four Full Circle. And Rob, did you see that Alex Ross posted a video on YouTube talking about how he uses his own custom 6-scale figure of the Fantastic Four as reference for Fantastic Four Full Circle, and the Fantastic Four covers he starts doing in November? I would 100% buy a set if he sold them. Yeah, I mean, Alex Ross has always used references, people, and things like that for his paintings, so that doesn't surprise me. I haven't even cracked, it comes wrapped, shrink wrapped. I haven't even undone the shrink wrap. It looks incredible, and it's oversized. I'm going to crack it open when I go home tonight.
And you said you were going to bring that in, right?
I'll bring it in.
I'm really looking forward to seeing
it
that.
on Monday.
All right, what's next?
Motassim says, I feel like she's a background character that just goes with the flow. I'm more interested in Nikki and Pug at this point.
I have seen shows, you know what, in many ways, Peter Jackson's The Hobbit films were like that, where your central character is actually a secondary character who are just kind of watching the events through their perception, through their eyes. That is true to a degree of She-Hulk, but at the same time, she truly is the centerpiece of the show. I just need it to be more. That's all.
Right.
All right. What's next?
All right. We're going to start with part 1 of 2 for Darth Grant.
Okay. Part 1 of 2 of Darth Grant. In both Secret Wars, Dr. Doom eventually usurps the villain and becomes the big bad. There are rumors he's in Wakanda forever post credits. Understanding that these are just rumors, what if Dr. Doom is the one to take out Kang in Avengers 4 and 5 and is with him as the big bad? I mean, that could be.
I mean, it's not inconceivable that like he takes out Kang and then we go into see, because Doctor Doom is a very prominent role in Secret Wars. So if he could do that, it's possible, but we're talking about a character that hasn't even been introduced yet. And there have been rumors, I just want to point out, there have been rumors that Doctor Doom is going to show up in every Marvel thing that's come out in the last 2.5 years.
Right.
Like a lot of people were convinced he was going to show up in Moon Knight. A lot of people were convinced he was going to be a part of this and that and the other thing. It's never been. So every Marvel project, the rumor that Doctor Doom is going to pop up is going to be there. And eventually it'll be right. But I just don't know it's going to happen anytime soon.
Plus, I mean, I could see him as a statesman, as the head of Latveria or something, and they introduce him as Victor Von Doom or something. I could see that because we've obviously got, with a new nation revealing itself, presumably, like Wakanda did, there's probably a lot of political machinations. We've seen that scene where Angela Bassett's talking about she gave up everything to what looks like either it's United Nations, some kind of something. So there's probably a lot of politics, and I can see him showing up in some capacity, but not as not as the Doctor Doom that we know.
Yeah, it's possible. Of course, at some point, if you make up that rumor for every single MCU project that comes out, eventually it's going to be right. So we'll see. All right, what's next?
Daniel Vakura says, I find it incredibly bizarre that film Twitter isn't touting the Woman King's release, especially with all the great reviews. An all-female warrior unit led by Viola Davis? I mean, come on. That's awesome.
The problem, though, here is, and this movie look, they showed us a great look at this film back at CinemaCon. We talked about it when we were there. The problem is they have not marketed this film much.
No.
I saw more marketing for Idris Elba's Beast, which actually wasn't a bad little film.
Right.
I saw more marketing for Idris Elba's Beast than I have for this movie, unfortunately. To the point that I totally forgot it was opening this week.
Right. I agree with you.
Like that's how bad. It's kind of like, remember we were talking about the Emmys the other day? It's like, the Emmys were the lowest rated ever. I'm like, I didn't even know the Emmys were on till the morning of.
Right.
I don't, and I pay attention to this stuff. So I think ultimately at the end of the day, it's really more of the fact that they have not been marketing this thing nearly enough.
I agree. And it does look terrific.
Yeah, what we saw at CinemaCon blew us away. We loved it.
I can't wait to see this movie. So.
I mean, we were sitting there in the chair and look, right here comes Viola Davis comes out on stage, and you could literally sense this sense of reverence that came over this 3,000 seat, 5,000 seat, however big that damn theater is. You could feel the reverence, and then as Viola Davis came out on stage, she carries this power with her, and it was great. But they've been like, shh, don't let people know. It's almost like an exclusive party. So I don't know. All right.
I had my ticket to go see The Woman King right after this in Dolby, so I'm really excited for it.
Let me know what you think of it.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Is this no, this okay. Dr. Stinky says, hey, I don't enjoy the show anymore. Way too short, not at all funny. The sitcom format is just not working for me. Sad. Lowest rated for me, 4 out of 10.
Again, the too short thing, 100%. Now you can obviously say, but John, the typical sitcom is 22 minutes.
Right.
Yep, and that's true. But see, they make it in such a way that it's constructed for that. I feel like Disney hasn't quite gotten a handle yet on how to structure these shorter shows.
I completely agree.
You know what I mean? So it starts and it ends, and it just feels like when an episode of The Office starts and ends, you feel like, yes, we went through the journey. We did the beginning, the middle, the end, and when it ended, it felt right. With the Disney Plus shows, they do not know how to structure half-hour stuff yet. So it either feels the episodes end and it feels like an awkward ending, or it feels like the one episode I said it just felt dissatisfying. But my main thing to you again, it's a sitcom and the sitcom format works, but like I said, it's just not funny enough.
Well, and you know what else, John? In the sitcom format, whenever they bring something up, they pay it off in that episode.
Yes.
In this, it's like we meet this superhero couture guy, whatever, and I was expecting we would at least get her outfit. You know, like they go in, I'm going to design the outfits for you. I'm going to give you something special.
And then they don't.
They leave it as a cliffhanger. Like I thought the end of the episode would at least give us a taste.
And this tells you something about She-Hulk. The cliffhanger was, we're going to see her clothes. Right. That was the cliffhanger. And of course, the little mask in the box. By the way, I will say, I like this character.
I do too.
Ever since Incredibles with Edna Mode, I love fashion design, superhero fashion designers. So I like the character, but yeah, that was the cliffhanger. Didn't see her clothes. All right, what's next?
Connor Stevens says, do you guys like The Burbs? Tom Hanks, easily top 5 favorite comedies. To me, Bruce Dern as Mark Rumsfeld is one of the all-time great comedic characters.
I do like The Burbs.
I do too.
I'm like, granted, in my house, to not like a Tom Hanks movie is paramount to divorce. So, because Tom Hanks is my wife's favorite human being, but The Burbs is good.
But it's not great.
No. It's not like one of these all-time great comedies.
Right.
It's not. God, you know what is the most underrated? To me, the most underrated Tom Hanks comedy. You've Got Mail. Not many people talk about You've Got Mail. You've Got Mail, one of the many films that he did with Meg Ryan. I think that is a glorious movie. Like I could put that movie on any time and it'll make me feel good. That's just one of the things. But Burbs is not that, but it's a fine little comedy. I like it.
Yeah, it's good.
All right, what's next?
Danny Sanchez says, love that Titania called her Shrek. I laughed hard.
It's funny because Taylor, it was actually when we talked about it earlier, I had to have it ready. Taylor, when we talked about the show earlier, when the show ended, Taylor says, you guys didn't bring up the best line in the episode when he referred to her Shrek. Okay, yeah, my favorite line of the episode, though, was when Brian... I keep forgetting the wrestler's name, but Brian something or other.
Yeah.
When he goes up and hits up Titania at the end and wants to take her out, she goes, fine, you can buy me things.
Right.
I'm like, that to me was the line of the episode. Like, we need more of that in She-Hulk because that line was freaking hilarious. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
But yes, the Shrek line was pretty good.
It was good.
That was good.
I thought about you, Taylor.
Thank you.
I knew you'd like that one.
All right, what's next?
Danny Sanchez goes on to say, CGI was really bad this time. Short, but good laughs.
I thought this episode was better than the previous episode.
Yeah,
It did have a little bit more charm, had a little bit more laughs, still not where it could be, but and still not as good as the first episode.
Right.
But again, better than the last week. I just hope it gets better as we go.
Me too.
All right,
what's going to
next?
happen with the rest of the show? I don't know. Sinister Sunset says, have you seen the new God of War trailer? It's incredible. Death can have me when it earns me. Such a badass line. Also, Richard Schiff as Odin. Great casting.
I came into the office and who was on yesterday? It was Aaron and Chris. And I came in, I'm like, have you seen the new God of War trailer?
Yeah, dude.
And we should have talked about it on the show. It's so good. Loki's a little bit older now. Seeing Fat Thor fighting Kratos, seeing the axe versus Mjolnir, the hammer.
Yeah.
Look great. But that line, that's the first thing I said when I came in the office yesterday. Death can have me when it's earned me. I'm like, okay, that's like the most badass line.
It's great.
I cannot wait to watch the probably 22-hour cutscene movie of this thing. I'm looking forward to it. All right, what's next?
You can watch those when you've earned them. Tim Platt says, everything is subjective, and I think that goes double for comedy. All the stuff with Nikki Pug and Nedna mode wasn't funny at all. And a comedy that isn't funny is a disaster. Again, I loved first three.
I'm going to disagree with you, Tim, on the thing with Pug. The Pug stuff was... I thought that was really good. I loved the little side adventure of them going on to try to find, a designer.
Yeah.
The Avengers I thought was actually pretty cute. Then when the camera smash cuts to them standing there and the other, I thought that was cute.
And I
thought that part was cute. Yeah.
I like when he first comes in and goes, oh, I need you to do me a favor. And they were negotiating. You mean against my interest? Yeah. I thought that was good.
They actually have pretty good chemistry. I like that.
They've got that quick 1940s banter between them. I liked it.
Yeah, that part worked for me.
I liked it.
All right, what's next?
Tim Platt goes on to say, the last two episodes of She-Hulk have taken me from really enjoying the show to it becoming very meh. This last episode was the worst. I love Jen, but most of the side characters really annoy me.
I mean, like it was said a little bit earlier, somebody brought up, like, first of all art is subjective, but nothing is more subjective than comedy and what makes you laugh and what makes you giggle. So I certainly thought this week's episode was better than last. I thought this thing did a lot more stuff right than it did wrong, unlike the weeks before. But it all depends on how it hits you individually, right? Like for me, it worked. Didn't work great, but it worked. And if they can build on that, great, but they're running out of time.
Yeah. I really love her boss. She-Hulk's boss.
Oh, the boss is, and I think he's going to play a more important part a little bit later.
I just love his delivery. Like, he knows what show he's supposed to be in. I mean, he really, whenever I see him, I'm like, oh, great. There's a scene with him. I love his delivery.
You want to know the one scene that I think kind of sums up and again, overall, I'm enjoying this show.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to keep repeating that. But the one scene that has been in the show so far that kind of represents how it's not living up to its potential. It's the first scene of the episode that happens after she gets jumped in the street and the guys try to take her blood. And it's a scene where she's at home and her dad, cousin Larry, comes walking in, and it's so bad. Well, my daughter is going to be attacked. I'm putting in the security system. Dad, I'm blah, blah. It's like, you know what? This is a great example. This is kind of a representation of the inability of the show to really live up to its full potential. Like, that scene was not funny. was like at all. It wasn't charming like the Ms. Marvel stuff was. It wasn't funny. I'm not blaming the actor or anything like that. It's just, I think that one scene kind of represents for me in my head. It's the poster child scene of how this show is doing fine, but it's not living up to its potential.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, what's next?
Connor Stevens says, my personal favorite music biopic is Love and Mercy.
Paul Dano's so good.
Paul Dano and John Cusack were fantastic as Brian Wilson. A truly beautiful
Have
film.
you seen this one?
Oh, yeah.
What do you think of it?
I loved it. I'm a huge Beach Boys fan, so I loved it. I thought it was great.
Paul Dano.
Amazing.
It is so good.
And it's not the same old thing.
It's right. It's a completely different story
Yeah.
through than you get from these musical biopics, right? It's so good to see Paul Dano starting to get the love he deserves. He gave one of the great performances in There Will Be Blood. The problem for Paul Dano was he did it in the same movie that another actor gave the single greatest performance ever in movie history, in my opinion, with Daniel Day-Lewis's role in that movie. So he got completely overlooked.
Right.
But he has done nothing but crush it every time since. And then he, like, how great was he as Riddler? And now we see him in that new Steven Spielberg trailer, Meet the Fablemans. I mean, this dude is a star.
Yeah.
A complete star. And that's a really good one that you brought up. All right, what's next?
Mickey Veach says, it's not important at all, but the Disney Plus MCU timeline order, She-Hulk is listed as taking place before Miss Marvel. No big deal, but I found it curious.
I'll be honest with you. None of that ever matters to me. Did this happen 5 minutes before the events of the subway scene and this? Or and you're right. It's no big deal. It's curious. Like, why say it's before? I mean, I don't know. I agree. But to me, it's just no big deal. Does it have any significance?
Well, it depends. It depends how significant the show is. I think this, in terms of Miss Marvel and this, I don't think it really matters when they take place. I mean, obviously there is going to be a timeline because certain big events are happening. I mean, no one's still acknowledged that a Celestial is, other than like on a news story, on a headline on a website. I mean, nobody cares it's Celestial.
One of the oceans is now half filled with a Celestial coming out of it, and no one's talking about it.
Yeah, with a god-level being emerging from Earth. I mean, it's such a weird thing how they don't...
But isn't it nice to know that this took place before Miss Marvel? Yeah, it's like the butterfly effect.
See, okay, listen, let me go back to this scene for a second. Remember what scene were we just talking about when she's like saying like, buy me things. I laughed my ass off. Like this is why we'll argue with people about this scene nonstop. This is more of what She-Hulk should have been. This scene came on. I laughed my fool ass off. I thought this was hilarious. This was totally playing into its self-awareness. It was totally playing into like embracing the wild side of whatever. This was great comedy. And I love this. And what's laughing, like, why is she twerking? Same people who thought frickin' Zemo in the nightclub doing this was the greatest meme thing ever. And then like, why is she twerking? She's twerking because it's funny.
Well, and also,
that's just me.
And also because maybe as they're talking, client and lawyer,
yes,
maybe somebody brought up twerking, like Megan Thee Stallion made a twerking comment, and she said off screen before we saw this, I didn't know how to twerk, and she's like, or twerk, girl, let me show you. So we didn't see that setup. We just cut to them twerking. I believe that situation could have happened between the two of them. It wasn't out of nowhere.
No, like then the punchline at the end, where like she's starstruck, she's having such a good time. She helped her color. She goes, "I will kill for you, Megan Thee Stallion." All right, dial it back.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought that was freaking hilarious. The show needs to be more of that.
Yes,
more of that.
Anyway,
it's the butterfly effect of the MCU. Instead of butterfly wings flapping, it's ass cheek flapping.
Twerking.
Demonetized.
All right, I'm gonna hand this over to Rob while I run and grab. I'm gonna refill my drink. Do you need anything?
No, I'm good.
You sure? You want to grab me a bag of chips or anything? Okay, I'll be right back.
All that in a bag of chips. Timbula, our friend Timbula. How are you, Timbula the Spider Monkey? All the way down under. I don't recall hearing your reaction to the Willow trailer from D23. What did you think? I'm really looking forward to it. Yes, even the brownies. Well, we did talk about the Willow trailer on the show, and I think, we all like Willow. I mean, I don't know anyone who loves Willow. Maybe if you were younger, but I think we're all looking forward to it. And I'm curious to see, I go by something like maybe it's not the same thing, but I couldn't believe they made a Dark Crystal TV show. And The Dark Crystal was fine. It was never something I totally loved, but I really liked the show.
That show was amazing.
It was amazing. And if they pull off that kind of show, like if Willow, I could see Willow turning out to be a pretty decent program. John, the question is, Willow. We talked about the Willow series. How do you feel about it? What do you think about them making the show?
I'd be lying if I told you I was super interested in it.
Right. I said we all kind of like Willow, but
yeah, I like Willow. I thought it was a curious choice to come back and revisit Willow. I don't think it has nearly the nostalgia factor for a lot of people that maybe they think. That said, the trailer was quite good.
It was quite good.
It was quite good. And so that is piqued my interest.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, and who doesn't love Warwick Davis? I mean, I love that dude. That dude's hilarious.
He's hilarious.
So here's hoping. Fingers crossed.
I agree.
All right.
Dangerous Lee says, earlier today, a viewer wrote in and asked about the most recent film to break into your personal top 10 lists. Mine is Inception.
Yeah.
Ooh, love that movie.
Yeah.
You know what? I wouldn't put it in top 10, maybe top 20, because I love Inception too. I saw that 8 times in the theater.
Inception is right up there. I also, one we brought up earlier today that I've heard a lot of people say puts in their top 10 was Wolf of Wall Street.
Right.
Went into a bunch of people's top 10. I mean, look, there's some fabulous cinema.
And The Big Short. I love
Big Short's fantastic. But it was funny because it made me think about it. I realized my top 10 has not changed in 20 years.
Right.
I haven't had a movie crack into my top 10 since Lord of the Rings. Nothing has been able to usurp Usual Suspects, Shawshank Redemption, Bridge in the River Kwai, Lawrence of Arabia, Godfather, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. Like nothing's been able to supplant that yet. I look forward now. When it happens, I'll know how rare it is.
Right.
All right.
It is rare. Josh Becker says, I wish She-Hulk had more action. There isn't much.
It's true that there has been much. I mean, I'm okay. Again, if it was funnier, I wouldn't care.
Right.
But if you're not going to have the funny, then put in some action. I did like the scene when guys, one of the moments that I really did like is when the guys did jump her in the alleyway and she's like, oh, wait. So they, oh, yeah, wait a minute. Like she's like, oh, wait. Yeah, right. Turns into the Hulk is like,
well,
that was pretty fun.
What I find interesting is she's not a trained combatant.
No.
So if she was ever in a situation where she had to do some fighting, I mean, her strength would carry her through, but there could be a really funny, call it maybe inaction scene where she's like in the middle of...
She's trying to brute strength her way through.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember the beginning of Superman 3, but it's a scene
where he fights the computer?
No, yes, where he fights. But at the beginning, it's a scene where like Clark Kent is just kind of walking down the street and all this crazy stuff happens. It's like very tongue in cheek. I could see something like that happening to her. Like she finds herself in the middle of a Michael Mann Heat-esque gun battle in the middle of the streets, and she just is trying to figure out what the hell she's supposed to do, and all kinds of mayhem ensues. But they haven't done that.
I don't know why this just reminded me of this. Totally off topic, but something you said reminded me of this. There was a meme, some kind of thing going around on Facebook. And it was somebody who wrote, I want to see a movie where there's a top elite assassin who, or I like even, it might even be like government wet work, like a government assassin who's been sent to take out a journalist. And no matter what this assassin does, he's never able to kill the journalist. And then it turns out that the journalist is Clark Kent. And that the whole thing is the movie of this guy desperately trying to kill this journalist. And no matter what he tries, it never works. And I remember I saw that. I'm like, that's so, no, wait, I take that back. I want to see that movie.
But that could be part of a Superman movie.
That could
like
be
a subplot where
I'd love it if it was like an M. Night twist at the end that you realize that you finally see their name badge and it says Clark Kent. Oh, yes, that's okay. I want to see a comic about the CIA. Well done, Taylor. I want to see a comic about the CIA trying to murder Clark Kent and make it look like an accident, not because they know he's Superman, but because he's a really good journalist. Make it a comedy because the CIA assassin can't figure out why their attempts keep failing. I come across this a couple of times, and every time I stop, and again, the first time I saw it, I said, that's dumb. No, it's not. It's actually kind of genius. Right. Now I really want to see that movie. All right, what's next?
Jeffrey Lindenblatt says, one of the things I was hoping the series would be headed toward was a line that Jen said on the cover of issue 9. I can't fight here anymore. The She-Hulk is taking over. But the show is a comedy.
Yeah, but the thing is, it depends on the run you go to. But She-Hulk really is a comedy. I mean, in many ways. But I mean, not that you couldn't have great moments like that. You could, but I don't know. What do you think?
Well, yeah, again, it depends. Like, I mean, the spectacular She-Hulk run, I mean, Savage She-Hulk, there you go. I mean, this is from the initial run of She-Hulk this would have been 1980. And back then it wasn't really a comedy yet. The comedy really came into the Byrne run. And
that came later.
In Spectacular She-Hulk.
All right, what's next?
That's a great cover, though. Gilbert Garcia says, hey, John, over or under 25% that Jen She-Hulk will reveal that the Netflix Daredevil show is canon or not when Matt Daredevil shows up in She-Hulk?
I will say this. I don't think anything that happens, because you guys know what I think, that I don't know for fact, but that I think this is not the same Daredevil. I've been saying that forever now. It's not the same one. But no matter what happens in She-Hulk next week, I don't think it definitively proves it either way. Because let's say, first of all, the very fact that his costume is being made in LA, that's a total contradiction to everything that's going on in the Netflix series.
Right.
Some people have already written to me and says, well, that does it. That confirms this is not Daredevil from the Netflix series. But this is She-Hulk. And so I actually don't think anything that happens in this episode will confirm that it is the Daredevil from Netflix or that it isn't, because I think you're going to have to take everything that happens in it with a little bit of a grain of salt.
What if Jen says when she meets Matt Murdock, I watched the Netflix Daredevil series and you look just like the guy they cast as Matt Murdock?
Or what if she did that as a fourth wall break? Where she goes, he does remind me a lot of the Netflix guy, right? I mean, or something like that. Okay, that would be funny. I don't think the show is funny enough to do it.
Right.
But it would be funny if they did that.
Yeah.
But again, even if they did that, even if Jen comes straight out and says, now I know he looks a lot like, she turns to the camera and says, I know he looks a lot like the Netflix guy, but he's actually a little bit different. You're just going to have to go with it.
Right.
Even if she did that, I don't think that really confirms it because it's She-Hulk.
Right.
So so I don't know. I'm going to go under 25%.
Okay.
Do you think they're going to say something that could lead the audience to definitively think it is or is not?
Not definitively,
Okay.
but they might acknowledge that there's
Or
a
wink?
Netflix. Yeah, they'll do something. I think they will do something.
All right.
Something. Don't know what that is.
I love that idea. If she turns to the camera and says, he looks like the Netflix guy, doesn't he? That would be funny. All right, what's next?
Never Lose Your Nerd says, I haven't laughed once the last 2 episodes.
I have.
Not even with Madison?
Like, come on. Like the ending with Madison and Wong. Come on. Also, I mean, God, that magician in the last episode was so bad. But this episode, I did have a couple of laughs.
Yeah.
Had a couple of laughs.
That's it.
I'm sorry that you didn't, man. All right, what's next?
1 sec. It is frozen on my end, so 1 sec.
Oh, no.
Are we?
Oh, I see. So like all of this.
And this.
All right.
But are we still live?
It looks like we're still streaming.
Oh, well then-
Oh, yes. Okay, so...
I'm just gonna close out Google Chrome and reload it. It's fine. We'll still be streaming.
Okay, so...
Should we twerk?
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. So sorry for this, guys. Apparently, we are having a little bit of a tech issue with our streaming computer, but at least the stream is still going on, and cameras still seem to be switching.
Which is good.
Yeah, so that's all.
Hey!
Rob, you can show your magic
All
trick.
right, my magic trick. Look, young, old. Young,
Almost there.
young. I don't know how many times do I have to do that.
Okay, I'll sing for the. We still got time to kill, so.
But don't get demonetized.
Oh, that's true. I have to make up a song.
You got to make up a song.
Okay.
We're fixed.
Oh, we're
Good.
fixed. Oh, thank God.
Wow.
I was
Things are about to go off the rails.
I was about to Eminem it and start freestyle rapping it. All right. What do we got next?
What do we got next?
That was premature because I got to get back to the super chat. But 1 sec.
Okay.
There we go.
There we go. All right.
So we got Never Lose Your Nerd. We got to go scooch down to I don't know who's. There we go. Gilbert Garcia says, hey, John, over or under 25% that Jen She-Hulk will reveal that the Netflix Daredevil show is canon or not?
Okay, so we already did that one. Yeah, so might have got duplicated. You see, that's the thing. Sometimes when Stream Elements has to reboot, sometimes it reorders the things.
Oh, yeah. We did a lot of these.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. It's official.
Leo Liang.
Yeah.
Liang. We didn't do that. It's official. Pug is the best character on the show now with his sneaker comment this episode.
I got to say, just because I have, including Ray and our buddy Matt, who many of you will remember from the 4-year consideration days, our buddy Matt, just like obsessed with sneakers.
Yeah.
So as soon as I saw them, like, all of a sudden, this is gonna be Matt's favorite show.
I'm with
So
you though.
I'm
Like, I just need a couple of pairs of shoes, 3 or 4 maybe, because you need dress shoes, you need sneakers, you need something work shoes or something. And
I've got 1 pair of dress shoes. I have 2 pairs of walking or running shoes that I wear to the gym or just even into the office, and then I have 1 pair of flip flops for wearing around the pool.
Yeah, that's pretty
That's
much
it. That's all I got.
Yep.
And I'll probably have all 3 of those sets of shoes for the next 4 or 5 years. And then the holes will wear into them, and then I'll switch out shoes.
Yep.
All right, what's next?
Ryan Hughes says, my biggest concern with the show so far is that it's been fine. Not great, not bad, just fine.
Yep.
With a few exceptions post Endgame, the MCU has never really felt, or it's really felt unfocused along with quantity over quality.
I agree that Phase 4 has felt more of quantity over quality. I have. And the MCU as a whole may feel a little unfocused, but I'm fine with that as long as the individual projects feel focused. Ms. Marvel to me felt laser focused.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi to me felt laser focused. WandaVision to me felt laser focused.
Agreed.
And then some have not. Hawkeye to me did not. I thought Loki meandered a bit. I ended up, I liked Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I didn't love it. Black Widow was... Honestly, I feel like they made Black Widow because they felt they were supposed to make a Black Widow movie. And
if Black Widow had come after Iron Man 2 early on, I would have liked it a lot more.
Well, they also probably could have come up with, again, like I said, my problem with Black Widow is not that they made a movie as a prequel for a character who already died. I'm fine with that. The problem was, again, like I said, I watched the movie and it was just like, I feel like the reason they made this movie was because they felt they were supposed to make it. It didn't get made because somebody came into the room with this killer idea for a story.
And it really didn't have anywhere to go. The first half of Black Widow I thought was really good. But then the end was more perfunctory. It wasn't clever. It wasn't like, well, we're going to have to go after the people that did the Red Sparrows or whatever.
Yeah. Why does this offshoot of the KGB have a floating city in the sky?
I don't know.
Evil.
Who cares?
And now if you had told me, okay, so we got this idea for a Black Widow movie. It starts with finding out, that Natasha has this sister they were being indoctrinated, whatever. Horrible things happen, separated, and it's going to end with that sister, Yelena, standing over her gravestone, right? If you told me that, I'd be like, okay, I see where you're going. Unfortunately, they just kind of filled all the middle. And again, I thought Black Widow was fine. I like David Harbour in it as
I would give it 3 stars. It's fine.
Out of
5.
See, if you said out of 3, then that would be, or if you said out of 20, so you got to finish that sentence.
Yes, 3 out of 5.
Okay. All right, what's next?
All right, so I went back through the super chats and I did skip a bunch. So I found where I think.
Well, you didn't skip them, Taylor. That was the Stream Elements' fault for rebooting. So that's not your fault.
Thank you very much.
But if
so
you
I
found
think we are
some of those,
here.
okay. What do we got?
Are we going to start with Daniel or Darth Grant?
Daniel.
That one I think we've already done.
No,
This is the second one about the same movie.
Understanding that these are just rumors. What if Dr. Doom?
No. We did that.
The one above it, Daniel Vaccaro.
Oh, Daniel. I think if The Woman King was a superhero film, it would be considered more important by people and promoted more. With The Woman King, Clerks 3, Barbarian, Pearl, and See How They Run, there's a large variety.
There's a large variety
of movies. There's a lot of. I mean, that's to me. That's a lot of interesting stuff. There's action, there's horror, there's comedy. There's a caper. So that's a pretty good weekend at the movies.
Yeah, but again,
none of them have been promoted. No one.
Right, that's the problem. Like you go back to The Woman King. It's like if it had been a superhero, people would be promoting it more. If studios don't promote it, people won't promote it.
Right.
Like I didn't start going crazy on Everything Everywhere All at Once until I saw it. That movie did not get a lot of marketing at all. And so I got really excited by it once I saw it. But like if you're not going to promote your movie, people aren't going to promote it for you. And that's ultimately it.
Yeah, I mean it looks great, but like there's as a matter of fact, none of the movies that are opening have a lot of marketing. The only one is Barbarian, and that's in theaters already.
Yeah. All right, 95% of the promoting for that movie.
Yeah, you've done 95% of them promoting for it.
It's true.
All right, what's next?
Darth Grant says that also being as Arishem is an Avengers level threat, but not the villain of an Avengers movie or saga, does he replace Galactus as a Fantastic Four villain?
not going to lie to you. Like I enjoy you. Well, I saw Eternals with you.
Yeah.
I enjoy Eternals. I like that movie. I liked it even more when I watched it again on a flight on the way home. The Eternal or the Arishem and the Celestials, they kind of make Galactus redundant,
Yeah.
right?
Although Galactus is kind of connected to them in a way.
Yep. But I don't really see the need for Galactus anymore. Like, you want your planet level giant threats. There he is.
Unless, it's Galactus who's going around and eating the planets that are seeded with Celestials, and the Celestials are mad at him.
Or seeded with Eternals.
No,
you're right.
Celestials. Merging.
Yeah.
And then but again, they introduced this huge heady concept, and then they don't do anything with it, and the world seems entirely nonplussed.
Yeah, I mean, these guys show up. It's like, we created the Earth. We created the sun that gave light and light to the Earth. They changed. Man, there's so many repercussions of Eternals that they've never even touched on. But
Whatever.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
Daniel Vakura says, have you heard of Hockeyland? It's a documentary about two local hockey Minnesota high school teams. One that is close to me made the state title game 6 years in a row before finally winning. It looks really good. I have not heard of this, but hey.
And so these are like Minnesota, college teams?
College or high school?
I mean, that's interesting, of course, but it is Minnesota. I mean, the Tyke League, the 7-year-olds who play in Canada would probably be able to come up and kick their asses. I mean, it is our sport. Now, you'll kill us in basketball, yes, even though we created basketball. Did you know that?
I did not know.
Canadians created basketball.
But is that like Chekhov in Star Trek when he said that everything great was made in Russia?
Maybe a little bit, but
was it really created?
True. You can actually look it up. Basketball was created by a Canadian.
All right. In Canada or in the United States?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not 100% sure.
I got to look that up.
But I mean,
I'll hold you to that.
But you guys are like 55,000 times better at basketball than we are. Although we did have, two-time NBA MVP Steve Nash. So there's that.
Well, there you go.
We'll hang our hat on that. But no, I have not heard of this documentary.
I haven't even. It sounds good. Yeah. I love sports documentaries.
So do I. I really
no matter what sport it is.
That's why I'm loving Welcome to Wrexham.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
All right, what's next?
Mexican Drug Lord says the Iron Man trilogy was the most grounded of the MCU, and they never had the Avengers helping out. I can see the Batman be the Iron Man of a new DCEU. Well, that's interesting because you talked about on the show yesterday, and Chris asked me about it. Do I see the Batman as being the beginning of a new DCEU?
What did you say in response to that? I'm just curious.
I said probably not. It could, but the thing is, the world that they've created in the Batman is fairly grounded.
Yeah.
And if you have a Superman show up in that world, Superman would just show up in Gotham and go, okay, Bruce, what do you need me to handle? Let me clean up the city for you. It'll take me an afternoon, and then you're done. And I'm like, the whole point is that world, just like in Nolan's Batman, if there were other superheroes, why would Batman care about Gotham so much? He'd just call him and go, yo, I need some help. Green Lantern.
Yeah, to me, like I said, the problem isn't Pattinson's Batman. The problem is Reeves's world.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Like, that world doesn't have a magical half-god woman from an Amazonian island with a magic golden lasso.
Or somebody recruited by an alien police force with a green ring to take care of business.
Yeah, it's just, or literally a Martian manhunter. It's
right.
Like the world that Matt Reeves has created is not a supernatural world.
That's right.
And I just don't think that works. So
I agree.
But if somebody wanted to change that, Matt Reeves could probably
do it. I mean, that's why when everyone says, what if Clayface is the new villain? And I'm like,
they would do him differently.
They would do him differently.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
Darth Grant says over or under 20% that Marvel exercises their last contracted Spider-Man cameo in Fantastic Four, as he is historically a part of the first issue. Maybe not? Thoughts?
Here's the funny thing. I was talking to somebody a couple of weeks ago about the contract stuff. That contract's actually controlled by Sony. So it really all depends on what Sony wants to do with that. So I don't know. I don't know when we're going to see Tom Holland as Spider-Man again. And I'm not even sure if he does where he shows up. I'm not sure if it's going to be in the MCU. I don't know if it's going to be in this Sony Spider-Verse thing. So much of it is up in the air now, but I think ultimately it really comes down to Sony and what they decide they want to allow. I just don't know at this point.
And what's interesting is they did leave Spider-Man in a place where if he never came back to the MCU, remember that Spider-Man guy? The Avengers would be like, whatever happened to him? I don't know.
We would
Who do you
just
think he was?
the headcanon I think that Marvel wants fans to have on that is just that he's out there doing street level heroing, and it's never really makes the headlines. That's probably what they would do. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do think he'll be back. I do, but I'm just saying right now I'm totally in the dark as to when or where that'll be.
And they've left it in a place where it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
John Redcorn says, Game day.
Game day.
Atlanta final season starts tonight. You were asking about that very thing before we started.
Yeah, we were just talking about that before. It's like very quietly, a number of shows have restarted back up. Handmaid's Tale, which is one of the best shows on television. Atlanta starting up. I need Atlanta to be better than last season. I mean, I try to talk myself. It just Atlanta last season wasn't great. Not nearly as good as the first couple seasons, which were excellent. So I really hope they finish strong. But yeah, very quietly just kind of sneaked up on us without a lot of fanfare, unfortunately. All right, what's next?
Culture Wars Diplomacy says, weakest so far, no mid credit. Did feel bad for the lawyer when she was asked out. I was confused for a second. Maybe I'm wrong.
Which lawyer was asked out?
Her friend asked out?
The one that was representing Jennifer. Who asked her out?
I don't remember.
I don't remember that.
either.
I'm confused.
But it was unfortunate that you had set this pattern that for the first 4 episodes, stick around for the post-credit scene, But sometimes the post-credit scene has been a nice little cherry that's kind of, you know what? Okay, maybe this wasn't the best episode, but that was a nice little end.
But that was a funny thing.
And it wasn't there this time.
It wasn't there, and I'm waiting for it.
Yeah.
Because they've conditioned me to wait for it.
That's the right word for it. Yes.
I've been conditioned 4 episodes in, and then the 5th episode, they don't give you why.
That was an odd decision.
It was an odd decision. And then as soon as I see the Georgia Peach show up, filmed
that's
in Georgia,
when you know. No,
I'm like,
there's nothing
God
left.
damn it.
Yep. You know what it is for me when you know it's when the up next on Disney Plus boxes pop up. Like once those pop up, you know, like, oh, so there is no post credit scene.
Right.
Yeah, you do it for the first 4 in a row. You just think you're going to do that for the rest of the series.
And you know what? I have to tell you, that disappointed me.
It was disappointing.
The last moment of the show I watched, I was disappointed.
All right, what's next?
I can only do what they tell me. Jeffrey Lindenblatt says, I was hoping that a post-credit scene would save this episode, but none showed up. The only thing left to save this comedy is a laugh track.
And again, I thought, like, even when you go back to last episode, which I thought was the worst episode, but that Madison and Wong thing at the end, it didn't save the episode. To me, it was still a bad episode. But it's like, okay, maybe this episode wasn't the great, but it ended it with a smile.
Right.
Right? Even though I didn't like the episode overall, I at least ended my show with a smile on my face. I was kind of hoping they'd do that last year.
Plus it gave you something to talk about later.
Yes.
Like, I mean, how many memes and how many, Madison coming from Marvel Studios, Madison. I mean, there was a week's worth of memes off that thing.
Yeah. I thought they had a chance to do that too. All right. What's next?
John Redcorn says, Me Time is the new worst film of the year. Sorry, Morbius.
That's the new Mark Wahlberg, Kevin Hart one. I have not heard anything about that. I have not heard anything about it yet. That's the first thing I've heard about it.
I thought the trailer was funny.
The trailer was funny.
I thought it was
a good trailer. But when did it? I'll be honest. Like, I don't even remember when it came out. When did this movie come out?
I mean, it dropped. The funniest thing I heard.
Netflix one, right?
Yeah, I heard that Kevin Hart was like scared of. They had a real turtle they were going to use. They actually had to use a fake turtle.
Oh, well,
a prosthetic or whatever.
One of those suckers bites you. Say goodbye to whatever it is he bit. I mean, that's for real.
Look at that guy.
But that's too bad. That's the first thing I've heard of anybody talk about it. So that's unfortunate because you're right. The trailer was pretty funny.
I heard it was not good.
All right, what's next?
All right, so now we're back up to where we were.
Okay, great.
So it's dangerous. Timulus. Oh, so we're here. Okay.
We did Pug.
Ryan Hughes.
We did this one.
Yeah, we did.
I don't think we did Dr. J.
No, we haven't done Dr. J.
No.
How does Leapfrog get to stroll around the exclusive fashion house while She-Hulk gets treated like she's unworthy? I love this show.
I'm sorry that I have no idea who Leapfrog is.
I don't.
I think that in the costume warehouse, one of the people who was leaving with a package was the guy that we've seen in the trailer coming up that's dressed like a frog.
I didn't even notice.
Okay, that's good. Okay.
Probably big money.
Big money.
Big money. She's going to be an Avenger, though. Trust me.
I
She's
thought
going
you
to be an
said she
Avenger.
was an Avenger.
No. They just haven't announced it yet. That was kind of clever. I like that.
Good.
All right. What's next?
Jared Vester says, rewatched Chronicle a week ago. Really wish they'd make a proper sequel. I love the ending, beginning as a supervillain origin and ending as a superhero origin. You know what, dude? I really like that movie. Chronicle I thought was really good. Plus, it takes place in my hometown of Seattle.
Chronicle is awesome.
Yeah.
And it was made right around the time when the Blair Witch Project movie kind of spurred on this. Hey, we can make these movies from the first person perspective. Found footage became its own little subgenre.
Yes.
Right. And I kind of was over it by the time. And so I remember I wasn't really even looking forward to going to the studio and watching the press screening of it. And I talked Ray into coming with me because I was going to be bored. And I remember coming out of that and I'm like, this movie is great. It's a great movie. And look at the cast in it too. Like you had Michael B. Jordan. You had the dude who went on to be in Spider-Man, Dane DeHaan.
Yeah,
Dane DeHaan, who is tragically underused right now because I think that Spider-Man movie really halted his career because he's a great actor. It was the best villain origins movie I'd ever seen.
It was great.
And I don't know how you follow it up. And then there's a whole lot of stories of what happened about the studios just kind of wanted to redo the whole first story again. And it's too bad. I really wish they'd done another one.
Me too.
And I wish Josh Trank didn't have the experience that he had trying to make that Fantastic Four movie, because I think Chronicle proves this guy's got some great storytelling sensibilities. And I really wish, it's really unfortunate what happened to him with
it really
Fantastic Four. All right, what's next?
Fanjecture says, I wouldn't have thought this before House of the Dragon, but if they announced Matt Smith is cast as the next James Bond, I think I'd be down for it.
Listen, I think there's 20 or 30 totally legit names of people that could come up and we would go, yeah, they'll do a good job. Matt Smith, absolutely.
Or the villain.
Or he would make
be
a great villain.
Bond villain.
Yep. He absolutely would. I mean, look the way he plays a dick.
Yeah, I know. I love it. I love it.
I mean, so just go back and watch him a little bit in The Crown as Philip. Sometimes he sounds like a Bond villain.
Right.
Yeah, it says Philip in The Crown. He really, really does. All right, what's next?
Jared Vester says, ever watched a movie commentary from the director and it made you change your opinion of a scene that you liked or didn't like? Yes.
Really? Yeah, you know what? I think I probably did too. Yeah.
Yes, I have to tell you, one of my favorite audio commentaries, there's a Bruce Willis movie that was made, and why am I drawing a blank on it? Why am I drawing a blank on this movie?
Hudson Hawk?
No. It's a Disney movie. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on it.
Bruce Willis Disney movie?
Yeah, he was made
the
by
one with
Touchstone.
the kid?
No. Oh my God. It was directed by Richard Rush. Anyway, someone's going to remember this.
Is it the kid?
No.
That's the one I was just asking about.
You see Bruce Willis peeing in this movie. Why am I drawing a blank on it?
Do I Google
He
movie where
plays
you
a
see Bruce
psychologist.
Willis's penis?
Anyway, Richard Rush was 89 years old when he recorded the commentary. It's out on Kino Lorber. I can't believe I'm just getting old. That commentary made me love the movie's not good. That commentary made me love the movie more than I could ever possibly imagine.
The Last Boy Scout.
No.
Because
Warner
that's not a
Brothers.
Disney movie. Okay.
It's not a Disney movie. This is a Touchstone movie, and I can't believe it stars, oh my God, I can't believe Jane Marsh and Bruce Willis. Why am I drawing a blank? And there's two different versions of it.
Is it Color of Night?
Yes. Color of Night is the name of the movie. There's two different versions. The Richard Rush commentary, he was 89 years old, and he did not give an F when he recorded that commentary. And he's just this, he's like, let me tell you about this movie. I'm going to tell you everything about this movie. And it's the greatest audio commentary ever. And the movie is not good. But when you watch this commentary, you will love this movie.
There's a very, very recent example of that. House of the Dragon. I'm always down for a good brothel orgy scene, but I didn't buy while the scene was going on, when Damon is about to, get on up in his niece, that I didn't believe that he had an attack of conscience. Like he's a scoundrel, man. He would have totally done that. And in the director's commentary, that's when the director reveals he just couldn't get it up.
Right.
He'd had that problem earlier in the show too. Like he just couldn't get it up. And I'm like, hearing her commentary on that made me go, oh my God, that suddenly makes that scene like have a lot of depth. And like, there's a lot
because he's trying to.
Yes.
He's trying to, he wants to, but he can't. And you know what? That's what happened to him, I think, at the beginning as well, because the woman, her lady of the
yes,
he loves her.
Yep.
He loves her, and he can't, and that's a lot of people said. Well, people wrote to me after we did the after show for that. People like, well, he's impotent, and I'm like, no,
he's not impotent. No.
And people didn't quite get that.
All right,
but by the way, those after shows are essential to watch after the House of the Dragon episodes. You got to watch.
Yeah, the director stuff as the showrunners talk about it. Yeah,
really,
absolutely.
Really got a lot of great insight.
Yeah, Damon's got a little bit of ED.
Yes.
All right, what's next?
Dante Sorecchia says, "Hey John, I saw Clerks 3 last night. It's good meta tear-jerking fun. I laughed a lot, and although I think you'll appreciate the heart of it, I have a feeling you won't like it.
Uh-oh.
It's no Clerks 2.
Well, I mean, I don't need it to be Clerks 2. Like, Clerks 2 was special to me for... Clerks 2 is very, very different from the first Clerks.
Right.
So, and I like them both. So I don't need it to be Clerks 2. I just need it to be a good movie. I'm hearing from a lot of people it's really good. I'm going to try to sit down and watch it in the next 48 hours, hopefully, because I'm a big Kevin Smith fan. Obviously, Clerks 2 is so important to me. So I'm glad. But everybody, I've not talked to one person yet who said, Clerks 3 wasn't so good. Everybody's telling me it was good, which is a relief to me because I didn't like the trailer. So I'm every single buddy is telling me that it's really good. So here's hoping. All right, what's next?
Hero75 says, my friend put forward this theory to me that Thunderbolts will be how the MCU introduces Wolverine. They will follow the same basic story as the latest Suicide Squad movie, with the team raiding a lab.
Don't see it. I can't see bringing Wolverine in through a Thunderbolts movie.
I can't either.
But I mean, I will say this though, with the cast announcements that they are throwing Bucky in there and they're throwing Yelena in there and they're throwing whatever, it does give a little bit more credence to it. But I can't see the whole movie being based around invading a Weapon X lab somewhere. And I can't see them doing that. But is that possible? I think it's possible. Not likely, though. I think it's possible, but not likely.
Yes, I agree with that.
All right.
I'll agree with that.
What's next?
Alan Ling says, hey, John and Rob, I just saw the trailer for The Fabelmans.
Oh,
I didn't know it's a film loosely based on Steven's childhood, and I'm excited for this film.
Well, I mean, that was the big news going around. It was that Steven Spielberg was basically making a movie based on his own life. And I mean, yeah, you could say that's a little self-indulgent. Sure it is. But he's Steven Spielberg, and he's in his 70s, and he's the greatest filmmaker of all time.
But a lot of the great filmmakers, like Francois Truffaut made his Antoine Doinel films about his, like 400 Blows is about his young life.
Yep.
And I think now Spielberg's earned it. Plus, when you watch that trailer, I think there's a lot to say about a kid, an upbringing between a father who's more of a pragmatist and a mother who's more of an artist. And I think it looks terrific.
And the word coming out of Toronto was first of all, they're all saying it's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Some are saying it might be Spielberg's. And think about his filmography, saying it might be Spielberg's best film. I haven't seen it myself.
Well, you got Paul Dano's in there. You've got Michelle Williams, and you've got Tony Kushner, one of America's great playwrights, writing the script with Spielberg.
And I heard Seth Rogen's really good in it.
Yeah.
So
he plays an uncle.
Yep.
I mean, I'll bet. Look, Seth Rogen was great in Steve Jobs as Steve Wozniak. I mean, he's got great dramatic chops.
You know what else he was really quite good in? Pamela and Tommy Lee.
Oh, yeah.
He was really quite good. By the way, good Canadian kid, Seth Rogen. Just throw that in there. All right, what's next?
Dad Jokes says, hi. If you look closely at Princess Disa in Ring Show, she actually has long sideburns. Is that Amazon's way of giving dwarf women a beard?
Maybe. Again, I have never understood the fact that some people were making such a big deal. It's like, how dare this Rings of Power show? I hate it. Why? The dwarf women don't even have beards. It's like, look, if you go back to the sort of, it's barely ever mentioned, and it was never given any sort of sense of importance. So yes, they decided not to give the dwarf women beards. Thank God.
Maybe she just shaved.
Or maybe she just shaved. I don't know. I want to know more about this. What do they call it? Resonating?
Right.
That was really, first of all, everything about that Elrond and Durin and Durin's wife scene, that has been the best scene of the series so far.
I completely agree.
But everything about her, everything from the charm of the relationship, of the dynamic between Durin and Elrond, the dynamic between Durin and his wife, the dynamic between Durin's wife and Elrond, the kids running around, but then that scene where she's talking about the resonating. Because remember, the dwarves are one with the mountain, right? They know the mountain. And that to me was a fascinating thing. I do hope it gets expounded on a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I like to hear, I think we're going to find out about the Balrog here at some point, but All right. This is my thought. All right, what's next?
Angel Leon says, Millie Alcock, who plays Rhaenyra, is the MVP of House of the Dragon. I'm pretty curious how Emma Darcy will take the role. Well, me too. But I can only assume, John, that they've cast somebody that can follow in her footsteps and be pretty great.
Well, here's the funny thing. I think probably she came first and they got Millie second to say,
Yeah.
who can play a younger version of this person?
Right.
Listen, this is how good this show has been. Millie is great. I don't even know that she's the fourth MVP of this show. Patty Constantine,
Dude.
as King Viserys, is amazing. Aretha Fons as the Hand has been amazing. Matt, I keep wanting to call him Matt Damon. Matt Smith playing Damon has been amazing. The dude playing Corlys, the sea snake, has been amazing. I mean,
And his wife.
oh yeah. The queen that never was.
Never was.
Like this, and she, and obviously Millie has been outstanding. This show is so good.
And the girl that plays Alicent.
She, like, you started, like, here's the thing. You'd think, okay, she's just playing the little handmaid. But especially when you get into this last episode, when they're really highlighting the fact, the type of character she's in, the character her position's in, the position her character's in, you start to realize the reason this has gone under the radar is because this girl is playing the shit out of this character.
Yeah.
And you're starting to recognize it. I mean, it's
And they've also
mind-boggling
set up,
how good this
she's
show
going to
is.
make a villain turn. She's going to be like, once her husband's dead, it's going to be like, enough of this BS.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm taking my agency back. My
everybody's
son's
so
going to be
good.
king.
Everybody's so good
So
in the
good.
show. Again, it's I'm not somebody asked me before, they said, are you disappointed that House of the Dragon has been better, in my opinion, has been better than Rings of Power so far? And like, I don't care. Like, I don't bring that kind of baggage to what I want. Yes, I was more excited about Rings of Power, but I just want to sit down in front of a screen and enjoy myself.
Yeah.
And if it's delivering it, great. I'm also enjoying Rings of Power, but how can I be disappointed that this show, House of the Dragon, is entertaining me even more than I thought it would? It's not disappointing to me at all. I love it. All right. What's next?
All right, that's it.
Oh, that's it.
That's it.
Well, guys, then that'll
truly
do
is
it.
that it.
That was it.
That's really it.
That'll do it for today's installment of Open Mic. Thank you so much, guys, for being here and joining us in this fine afternoon. A big special thank you to you guys who sent in the super chats, number one, because clearly you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved here on the John Campea channel, thank you guys so much for your support. Of course, I'm joined by Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Instagram at RM Burnett, find me on Twitter at BurnettRM, or find me on my own YouTube channel, Post Geek Singularity.
And you guys, of course, can follow me on social media, on Twitter and on Instagram, simply at John Campea. Okay, guys, that'll do it for us for now. Thanks a lot for being here. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.